NIST has come out with a recommendation about dealing with all of this password nonsense. And they're basically saying, listen, all of these different rules about special characters, numbers, uppercase, lowercase, it's just confusing people. So they actually came up with a list of recommendations.
Okay, let's go through this. Verifiers and CSPs shall. That means you have to do it in government speak. There's no wiggle room. You shall require passwords to be a minimum of 8 characters in length. What the 8 characters. All right, so that's the requirement. So everything after that, people are going to ignore. NIST comes back and says you should require passwords to be a minimum of 15 characters. And once again, everything that says should means you can ignore it, okay? You should say shall require passwords to be a minimum of 15 characters in length. Teen Vogue has stronger password complexity requirements than this new one. Teen Vogue says use a long password. I think they say 17 characters, and then they tell you to use multi-factor authentication. Teen Vogue has stronger password recommendations than the National Institutes of Standards and freaking Technology. If we're getting beat by Teen Vogue, we are losing at this point. NIST invites people to submit their comments. I'm going to write an email. Do you want me to share my screen while I write this?
Can we? Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen.
Hello, my name is John Strand. What are you doing?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm sending the email. There you go. So there, it's off. So let's see if NIST gets back to me.
There was a big nothing burger of a Linux disclosure last week. It's a vulnerability in cups, which of course affects every, not only Linux machine in the world, but Macs and BSD and Okay, so first, not installed on many systems by default. You also have to have this other service installed called Cups Browsd. This Cups Browsd thing allows an external person to register a new printer without authentication. You put this thing called a PPD file on the computer when you register the printer, and that thing can execute a command, but only if the victim actually prints to this random printer that spontaneously showed up on their machine.
The researcher disclosed this to Cert Vince, and then they somehow leaked it. This was massively mishandled. An internal communication disclosure leaking to the public about a 9.9 severity CVSS is it's someone messed up.
I want to talk a little bit about the U.S. Capitol. This massive dark web cyber attack. This feels like a repeat.
Yeah, I mean, this is just someone going back through info stealers and finding a bunch of Congress members, saying it was hit by a cyber attack. That's like me saying every time I Google something, I'm hitting Google with the cyber attack. There was a candidate, had a bunch of sketchy information out there about them. It was out free to find.
That article, like,
it's hilarious.
Like,
it's insane.
This is all fake. It's like you use the same user ID for everything.
And the same email.
It wasn't just the email. It wasn't just the user ID, but phrases. Like, he used
and
the
passwords. The passwords are cracked, and it's the same freaking password. The one thing I'm hearing the Republicans complaining about this guy for is his choice of pornography. Like all the rest of it.
Is this cyber hygiene?
Ooh. I think it is. I think it should be taught in grade school. Like, hey, kids, don't take naked pictures of yourself.
I'm so glad MySpace did a purge. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Someone discovered a vulnerability in ChatGPT that allowed attackers to store false information and malicious instructions in a user's long-term memory settings. So it's not really an attack on AI, but it is an attack on the implementation of AI that users actually use. Every company or person or whatever should think about how they're using AI. If that data is sensitive, they need to have either turn off memory or make sure they're regularly checking to ensure that there's not a bunch of false prompts and memories that they didn't actually put in there. Udemy course teachers have already been opted in to Gen AI usage of their courses.
I don't know where this is going. I don't know how to fix it. I just know it sucks. There are various groups out there, and they're literally just synthesizing all of these experts. They're taking everything that they've said in a class or in a consulting engagement, and then they're distilling it down through an LLM, and then customers can come and ask questions and get answers around that. There's organizations out there that are making lots of money, and the people that actually helped create the content that is fueling those LLMs is really not getting anything for it. Join us for live InfoSec news every Monday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Black Hills InfoSec YouTube channel.